Hello YouTube, it's Monroe. Today I'm going to be cooking my collard green recipe. I would typically make the biggest pot possible to host my family, but since there's only two in my house, I am going to make a smaller batch. Let's start with the greens. I'm going to do 2 bunches of collard greens. You can use curly mustard greens, you can use rainbow chard, you can use a combination of all 3. I have a ham hock here, a real smoky bone-in ham hock, and some thick cut bacon. I like to do a combination of both. Sometimes I don't get as much meat from the ham hock as I'd like, so I tend to go with some bacon just to add that extra meat for each bite. Just garlic, a sweet onion. As I mentioned before, I don't love to cook with onions, and if I do, it's going to be a sweet. For collard greens, even if I didn't always cook with sweet onions, I would probably use a sweet onion. We have our garlic, salt and pepper. Hot sauce is super important for that kick in the background that makes it authentic to Southern style greens. Red pepper flake, apple cider vinegar, chicken stock. I also have some simmering on the stove that I made actually. I just boiled some water, add some chicken base to it, and a little bit of salt, and have it simmering. And brown sugar, just for a little sweetness note to offset the spice. And that's it. A large pot. I am going to use a Dutch oven today. Yeah, so whatever large pot you have. I have seen this done in a very big cast iron. That works too. Whatever you like. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm starting here with my grits that have already been cleaned. To clean them, I filled my kitchen sink with water and a tablespoon of vinegar. I mixed them around the sink. Any grit or dirt that is on the greens will fall to the bottom, and you'll see that. It's a pretty tedious process, pulling the stems off. I typically will take the green, fold it in half, pinch the stem, and pull it away from the green. Some of the stem may stay on, but it is generally going to be just like the veiny, soft part of the green. Let's talk about what meat you can use as a substitute. I know in the intro I talked about what substitutions you can use for the greens. Now let's talk about the meat. These Southern greens get the bulk of their flavor from the meat that they are braised in. Traditionally, smoked ham hocks, they yield such a great depth of flavor, a smokiness, a saltiness that really can't be beat. If you are adverse to pork products or don't cook with them, smoked turkey wings or neck bones make a great substitution. As long as whatever meat you are using is smoked, you can really use anything. My goal is to get these on before I go to work. And I'd love to have these when I get off. Before chopping, let me try to get these in the best pile I can. For chopping, I get a stack. I roll them, make like a little greens burrito, and then I do 1-inch slices, and you get these big pieces. They will shrink down if those are too big for you or you prefer smaller. You can definitely take your knife and go the opposite way and make little bite-sized inches. And I'm going to put them in a bowl for later. I will try to keep as much as I can in the bowl and not as much on the floor. Here's a little fun fact. Collard greens originated near Greece. Evidence shows that the Greeks and the Romans aided in the cultivation of collard greens. It wasn't until, I'd say, the early 1600s that they really became known in the States. These types of greens really only grow in the South. Okay, I'm on my last stack here, which seems to have gone by fast. As I said, I typically double this recipe or even triple it. My family loves greens. They love when I make them. Whatever is left after I host a get together usually gets packed up in to-go containers. I'd say the biggest fan of my collard greens is my sister-in-law, Kate. Honestly, she's probably like my #1 fan of everything I've ever made. And I'm scared that my family will stop coming over. because now they know my secrets. All right, so 1 sweet onion. Again, I would use 2 if I were making a bigger pot. My favorite part of cooking shows was always the chopping. I loved hearing the chopping, mostly of onions. It was literally my favorite sound. Was anybody else like that? Or just me? There's gotta be a reason they enhance that sound. I think everybody loves it. Okay, so I'm gonna get my onion slice. I feel like traditionally the onions would be chopped bigger, but again, I don't know how many times I will say this on my channel, but I'm not a big fan of onions, so I like them to blend and melt away. I like them to be in the background, not in the forefront. So I go in with small pieces. And if you don't know how to chop an onion, I am sure there are many tutorials out there. Skills could be more fine-tuned. I feel like if I was in culinary school right now, my instructor would be pretty upset as to how I'm chopping my onion. It's funny, the things that we choose to do perfectly and the things that we're just like, whatever, let's just get it done. I was watching Jaclyn Hill make something on her channel, and the way her sister-in-law, or no, I believe it's her sister, just chopped an onion really gave me nightmares. And did a little of this, and the onion was flying everywhere, and the knife was everywhere, and I was like, please put that down. Walk away from the onion. Nobody deserves that kind of disrespect. Let's hope I can get this one more to my liking on the first try. It's already looking better. I don't know what happened to that one. I'm gonna say this is plenty of onion. Let's move you over and get our garlic. In my recipe, if I was using 4 bunches of collard greens, I would probably do 4 or 5 garlic cloves. Since I'm doing 2, I'm gonna do 3. I love garlic, so I usually add just another clove for good measure. And these are pretty big, so. You give them a good little whack, flatten them out. And these garlic cloves are so much better than my last ones. Oh my goodness, they make me happy. Just give it a good chop. These simmer for such a long time that the onions and garlic will definitely soften so much. My eyes are burning a little bit, if I'm honest. I usually chop the onion and get it going, not just sit here and look at it. That's enough for the prep work. I'm gonna go wipe my tears and let's take this to the stove. All right, so I have my Dutch oven here heating up. I like to do a combination of oil and butter. About a tablespoon of canola oil, and then about a tablespoon and a half of butter. Get that in there. I'm going to let that melt. Let's get this butter moving around. So I'm going to get my ham hock in, and we are going to cook this for about 5 to 7 minutes. I'm also going to add the bacon. I chopped it up into little inch bites, and it's about 5 strips of bacon. I'm gonna get those going. All right, let's spin this baby. Get it going on another side. Give the bacon a little twirl. The bacon is going to play out the smokiness of the ham hock and really add some meat into each bite of the greens. Let's hope we can get her to stand up, Miss Piggy. It's commonly found within elements such as onion, garlic, smoked ham hocks, chicken stock, red pepper flakes, hot sauce, and more. So we're gonna add the onions. The ham hock and bacon have been cooking for about 7 minutes. We give them a stir, cooks around with the meat. The oil, butter, and the fat from the meat, these onions have a nice bed to cook in. The smell with the smoky ham hock, bacon, the onions, it is truly starting to smell like a southern kitchen in here. Do you want to sit in the sun? Do you want to go outside? Okay, now I've had the onions going for about 5 minutes. They're super soft, super translucent. I'm gonna go in with my garlic. Just put that right on in. Now we are going to get our red pepper flake. If you're making Southern style greens, my guess is this is not going to be too spicy for you. 1.5 teaspoons of salt, kosher salt. You definitely want to go easy on the salt. There is a lot of salt already from the ham hock. We're going to add some black pepper, just a pinch there. 2 teaspoons of hot sauce. If you have any sensitivity to spice, I would cut the hot sauce and the red pepper flake in half and adjust it as necessary. Get all that flavor in there going, melding together. Add the chicken stock. I have a combination here of store-bought and my own. We're just going to gently pour that in. It's about 4 cups. So at this point, I like to cover the pot with a lid. I cook this for about an hour on medium-low heat, and we come back and add our greens. So stay tuned, I'll be back. All right, we have had our broth going for about an hour. It is at this point, I am going to add in the sugar, vinegar, and the green. For the sugar, we're also going to add our greens. It's going to look like there are way too many greens for this pot, but they will shrink down. I love that you can see all the bits of flavor on the green leaves. You can see the red pepper flake, you can see some bacon, some onion. I'm gonna let this go for about another half an hour on medium low, and then I'm gonna remove this ham hock and add the meat. I'm going to do something I've never done before here with my greens. I had some kale in the fridge that I needed to use, so I'm just going to add this. I will report back, comment below if I think it was a good addition or not. I'm gonna pick out the pieces that look a little unhappy. Again, I've never done this before, and so I thought I'd give it a try. I hate food waste, and the kale was definitely on its last couple days of existence. All right, there we go. I have my ham hock here. I'm going to do my best to get the meat off. It's not too bad. It's just a tough little guy. I can't begin to describe the aroma coming off of these greens right now. So I'm just gonna let this go for a few hours. I start to check them after an hour, make sure all the seasoning is right and see how tender they're getting. The last thing that actually goes in, about 2 tablespoons of vinegar. You need the acid when something is this fatty. As this cooks down, you definitely want to monitor the liquid. The chicken stock can definitely evaporate, and you want to make sure there's enough liquid so it doesn't dry out. And we will let this go for a while. Check back in later. All right, guys, it's time for the big reveal. I have now had these greens simmering for about 2 hours. You can see the specks of the red pepper flake, all that flavor. And here we have it plated. Please like and subscribe, and tune in next time to see what's cooking.